All right, everybody, welcome to the Goober Brothers. I'm
Goober
Vin,
Brothers. And I'm
uh,
Jared.
and today, Jesus Christ, and today we are going to be playing the Crew Motorfest and talking about cars. This is my addiction. This is all I do. So, that's not all the Goober Brothers are going to be doing. We're going to be doing a vast variety of different games, and we already have our first quote unquote week planned out. No, we will not be loading or uploading every single day, but we will be planning the next couple of weeks up. And I don't care. Fuck it, whatever. Anyway, we're gonna be playing the Crew Motorfest. Yay! So here's
If
how
you
we're.
haven't seen the last crew one we done on the BMW Summit, go watch that. If you haven't seen Arizona Sunshine 2, and we talked about post-apocalyptic survival, go watch that one.
Today we will be playing grand races. Now, I'm not gonna be a sweaty tryhard. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I'm gonna be focusing on the conversation. But we're just gonna be having fun. And because of that, this will give me a rare opportunity to do something I don't normally get to do. I'm just gonna pick random cars. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't care. Because this will give me a chance to play as not just meta cars. It'll also be less boring for you guys if you just keep seeing me drive the same cars over and over again. So, anyway, here's how we're
And
gonna
if you
do.
hear a bunch of chewing in the background, I'm sorry, I'm eating a Pop-Tart.
So my neighbors are
Losing
assholes
their
and
shit.
losing their shit. So yeah. Anyway, so here's how we're gonna do this, Jared. Since you are the person that is less knowledgeable about cars and car culture, you are
It
gonna
goes go. It goes Vroom.
you ask me questions, and I will attempt to answer them in the best of my ability. If I'm unaware of an answer, which no, I don't know everything. There's a lot of stuff I either know and can't remember or genuinely don't know. I'll just let you know.
Okay.
So,
Well, there's actually a few things I thought would be a good little topic to handle.
cool, cool.
And it'll handle a while.
I'm gonna start off with meta.
All right.
Okay.
Turbos, superchargers, and other parts that make your car go vroom.
Okay. So, first of all, there are terms for that. So if you have an engine that doesn't have some form of boost on it, it is called naturally aspirated, which means that the engine creates power of itself, and that's it. And then you have boosted engines. Now, boosted engines can have many different sort of things. Everybody knows about NOS. You know, you hook up NOS to a naturally aspirated engine, or you can do it to a boosted engine as well, and that NOS mixes with the oxygen because an engine requires three things to work. It requires fuel, spark, and air. Um, so that with those three things, you get power. So NOS is air,
Which
it
stands
mixes,
for nitrous oxide.
which stands with nitrous oxide, and it mixes with the oxygen or the air that's already in the engine to help create more power. So
Now,
you've
does
got
it give it a boost or does it just prolong the amount of speed? How does it work?
it's a boost of power. It's a temporary boost of horsepower essentially.
Okay.
And you have what's called shots. Your 20 shot, your 30 shot, your 40 shot. I'm dying.
What the fuck was that?
That's people in the Crew Motorfest not knowing how to drive and pushing me to my death. Um, so I'm not 100% sure how shots work as far as because I'm not big in the NOS. I have a turbocharged car, so I just get my power from the turbo. But so that's a good segue into the next one. So turbochargers. So the way a turbocharger works is it's shaped like a snail, for lack of better terms. A lot of people refer to turbochargers as snails. So if you hear somebody say they have a snail in their car, they might be saying that they have a turbocharger. So the way turbochargers work is they have a turbine in them, and
Kind of like a jet engine.
kinda. And so what happens is the exhaust gases from the engine spin that turbine, and that turbine then sucks in air and forces it into the engine. Again, that's one of the most crucial parts of engines: air, fuel, fire. And so that air is pushed into the engine and helps the engine create more power.
Right.
So,
Now, can you just put a turbo on any car?
technically speaking, yes, but you should build the internals when you do that. So,
like, for example, like my wife, she's got, that standard Camry. And she's thinking about putting a turbo on it. It's not her. She said that when she looked into it, the car it did not have the capabilities for a turbo. It did not have the components for it.
So,
and like, even on my Civic, it had it, but when he upgraded the turbo, he also had to upgrade the intercooler.
So,
or not the intercooler, the cold air intake.
Yes. So, yes, she is technically right, but maybe not in the way that you're thinking. So, you can turbocharge any vehicle, literally any vehicle. But as I had stated before, when you have a naturally aspirated car, that car's internals are built to handle the power that the naturally aspirated vehicle makes. Right. So if you take a naturally aspirated vehicle that's meant to handle, say, like your wife's 200 horsepower, if you turbocharge it on natural internals, what's going to happen is you're going to blow the engine, because the car is built to handle 200 horsepower. And if you turbocharge that car, you can make anywhere from 250 to 300 horsepower, depending on how much boost you make. Turbochargers work on PSI, or pounds per square inch, which is your boost. And so cars can make 5 pounds of boost, 10 pounds of boost, 15 pounds of boost, 20 pounds of boost, 30 pounds of boost. So, yeah. So, depending on, since her car's, a naturally aspirated and only really meant to make 200 horsepower, she would want to make forged internals, or put in forged internals. She'd want to reinforce the cylinder walls, the rods, the pistons,
so
the
crankshaft. You can't just throw one in there. No,
you've got to build the internals of the engine first, so that it can handle the additional power. So she's technically right, because yes, if you threw a turbo on her car as it is now, her engine would explode. But if she took the time to build the internals of her engine, it could handle the turbocharger. So now, it's not in comparison, like just throwing a turbo on. You got to do more.
Now, when you compare that to, say, something like your car or my car, where they're built to have a turbo, and let's say you want to get a bigger or an upgraded turbo, what then?
So it's similar. So like with our cars are very similar builds. We still have stock internals, but we also have more power. We added cold air intakes, intercooler pipe charge, changed out the charge pipes. We added other things to give us about 35 to 45 more horsepower, depending on our cars. Right. And so we're not making so much power that we're doing any real damage to our internals yet. Now, if we wanted to, say, make 400 horsepower, if I wanted to make 300, which I plan on making 300, I'd want to get a downpipe and an intercooler. I wouldn't have to do much as far as the rods, pistons, or anything like that. I'd be okay. But if I wanted to make 400 horsepower, I'd have to completely change out all my internals, because that's a lot of power. That's 200 extra horsepower to my stock car. So right. Yes, I would still have to change the internal rods and pistons and whatnot. So yeah.
And you'd probably have to, and I'm just assuming based off all that power and seeing how physics works, even if you upgrade a lot of these internals, you're also going to have to look at the infrastructure of the engine itself, like what's the thing that broke on my car? I forgot.
Oh, engine mounts.
Yeah, you're gonna have probably
Uh,
stronger engine mounts.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You can do engine mounts, but it's not super crucial. At least in my experience, I don't think it's super. You can no. But transmission.
I figure if
But
you're
nah. Hang on. Transmission. See, a transmission. The transmission in the car is very similar. It's built to handle a certain amount of power. You know, so people don't realize your engine makes the power, but your transmission puts the power to your wheels. And so if you have a car that stock is 200 horsepower and you build a car that makes 400 horsepower and you expect your stock transmission to be able to handle all that extra, 200 extra horsepower, you're going to wind up with a blown transmission. So you should also forge your transmission. You should get better clutches, flywheels, plates, whatever. If you've got a standard torque, you're going to need a better torque converter if you've got that type of one. I've got dual clutch transmission, so I would need to handle both clutches and my flywheel and all that sort of stuff. So you need to build a forward transmission. You can get a whole new transmission, like a sequential, that is rated to handle that sort of power. So yes, your engine mounts, no, probably not. But your transmission, for sure. Also, a lot of people don't consider brakes. If your car is a car that's used to handling, 300, 200 horsepower, and you build up to 300, 400 horsepower, and you think those stock brakes are going to stop your car when it's going full speed, I have news for you. No.
Inertia is a bitch.
No. So you might want to, like right now, I'm making 245 horsepower compared to 200 horsepower. Now, I didn't go for a big brake kit, which is, those big, giant, multi-piston Brembos that you see on fancy cars. But I did upgrade my pads and rotors. My rotors are drilled and slotted, so they're able to both dissipate heat as well as remove what's called glazing on my pads, which means that my pads are always ready to grip at a moment's notice. And I also have ceramic pads instead of organic pads. Most stock cars come with organic pads, and they're made out of organic materials, and they work great for, a 150 horsepower Civic. They don't work so great for a 200 plus horsepower vehicle that is constantly going at high speeds. So ceramic pads grip better. I've had people break in front of me, and I can stop on a dime.
So the ceramic pads, I have those on mine. Mm-hmm. But now I do not have drilled and slotted. Now, though you are right, because I do know this, the drilled ones are to help keep it cool, and the slotted ones are to help keep the glazing off. Mm-hmm. And those are the pros. But the cons is you build up a lot of brake dust because it does eat away your brakes a little faster.
Not super fast, not as much as people might think. There is the misconception.
Not super fast, but faster.
There is the misconception that, if you have brake pads that last a year and you get drilled and slotted, you're going to be looking at like 6 months. No, you might shave like a month or two off of your normal wear and tear because you're not sitting on your brakes.
Depending how you drive.
Depending on how you drive and how, if you're somebody who brakes every time they go down a hill, yeah, but you shouldn't be doing that regardless. But yeah, no, it's still worth it because, we've seen it in the performance of, say, your and my vehicles. Things are about to get silly, by the way. Now I am going for completely non-meta cars whatsoever. I'm just picking what the fuck ever. Anyway,
you didn't do that the first time.
Yeah, no. So, I'll do this for you, buddy. I'm not gonna do a Civic.
Yeah, I have a Civic Si, so I thought about upgrading to a Type R just for the 4-door, because 2 kids.
But or you could do a Civic Si. Or you could do a Civic Si sedan. I think that'd be more practical. Oh, he just pushed me back. What a dick.
Yeah, and it'd be cheaper.
Yeah. But also,
honestly, I'm also looking at a Genesis. I think a Genesis would be
Genesis would be better because you're not really a race car guy, and a Genesis is not a race car.
But it is, and that's the thing. It just depends if I want to keep the manual transmission or if I want to go with an automatic transmission.
Well, Genesis has the dual clutch transmission, so as somebody who likes to make sure they're in the gear they want to be in, you could still do that.
Well, I'm talking about, like, if I get a Genesis, I'm getting like a G70 or a G80. I'm not doing the coupe.
And that's fine. It still has a dual clutch transmission.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because Genesis is still Hyundai.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, as back to brakes, you've seen the difference in how your car and my car brakes. And that's because my brakes are always at the ready because they are never overheated and they're never glazed over. So even if you've got ceramic pads, if they heat up and you're somebody who does like to wait until the last second to brake, if they're always hot or you have a hot day, yeah. So.
Well, before we move on to superchargers, and while we're on the topic of your braking, your stop and go, tires.
Tires
make a difference.
Very situational. Now, there's so many different tires, and I do not have the time to cover tires in depth in this sort of podcast. I'll be honest with you, tires on their own could be their own subject. I'm gonna be real with you.
Well, just in general.
So
your standard versus, say, your sticky, hard versus soft.
I mean, well, first of all, stay away from anything cheap. Your Linglongs, your Lionhearts, don't use those. I don't care. I don't care if you were like, oh, it was fucking $20 for a set of. What are you doing?
I'm more concerned about your wing. Is it supposed to be doing that?
Oh yeah, that's this car.
It has a pivoting wing?
Yep, it has a pivoting ring.
Why?
Aerodynamics. It actually really helps the car in real life stick to the ground.
I have never seen a pivoting wing like that.
That is unique.
Cool.
That is unique to this car and this car's quirk. But yes. So anyway, stay away from Linglongs and Lionhearts. If you tell me that, hey, but it was only $80 for 4 tires, that's bad. That's bad.
They ain't gonna last you very long.
That's all. Actually, they last forever. They just don't. They're just shit quality. But the problem is they last forever because a hard tire cannot grip, and a soft tire can. And the problem with Linglongs and Lionhearts is, yeah, they last forever. You never go through tread, but that means your tire's not gripping, and that means that you're gonna have a problem.
It's also riskier while driving.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even if you're not going fast or racing, you get a rainy day, you're going to slide all over the place.
Oh yeah. So let's talk. So we'll use your and my tires for great comparison.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So you've got what? Ironmans?
Yeah.
Ironman all seasons. Perfect. In the dry, I can outperform you in almost any corner or straight. Before I explain that, I have Firestone, Firehawk, Indy 500s, which, while his is an all-season, mine are a heavily performance sport tire. They are they have minimal tread, are super grippy, super soft, super sticky. So, that being said, on the dry, I can outperform you in every corner, in every straight, because my tires are just so super duper sticky. But in the rain or the cold, you can outperform me. Like this man can go 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour in the rain like it's dry. But me, I can't go over like 60 in the rain because the way tires work is those treads allow water to get in there so that the tires don't hydroplane, so the water goes into the tread, allowing the tire to make contact with the road.
Right.
The more tread you have, the better contact you have with the road in the rain. The less tread you have, the less contact you have with the road in the rain, and the more chances you have of hydroplaning. My car hydroplanes a good chunk in the rain. Jared's
good bit, yeah.
Does not.
Yeah, no. Well, it's getting that way. I got to get my tires changed. I've had these for a good while.
Have you rotated them? Ever?
Yeah, they've been rotated, but they are in desperate need of a rotation again.
Yeah, rotate your tires, people. That allows you to keep your tread fresh.
Balanced, yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure, you gotta make sure you have some good brakes. Make sure you have, you don't want to, there's nothing wrong with organic brakes, but if you really want to, and sometimes it doesn't matter if you race or not. I don't race. I don't do a lot of street driving or anything like that, but all of us at some point has came across other drivers that's just really, they probably shouldn't be driving, having certain upgraded parts can help you maneuver around and avoid accidents.
It is a double-edged sword, though. I have had somebody rear-end me because my brakes were too good.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful with that as well. Which is why I don't go for carbon ceramic big brakes. Because if I had a big brake kit with carbon ceramic brakes, I would stop so fast that I'd get rear-ended probably almost every day.
You look at the brake pedal and you're done.
Yeah, yeah. So it's about balance. Okay, so superchargers. So there's two types. There's two types of superchargers, and most people don't know this. So everybody knows the Whipple or Roots supercharger. So it mounts onto the top. All these use air, by the way. Everything that boosts your engine uses air. So the way that a Roots or Whipple supercharger works is it mounts to the top of your engine, okay, and there inside of it there are screws, which is exactly what you're picturing in your head. You know, that screw sort of shape you're kind of used to. Yeah. And there is a belt, so or a pulley. The pulley is connected to the screw, and then a belt connects from the pulley to your engine. And it is a parasitic sort of thing. As you drive your engine spins that belt, which then spins the screws, and those screws suck in air and push that air into your engine, therefore boosting it. So
what would be your differences though? So if they both use air, and they both different mechanics, but they're both pulling in air and giving your car boost. What's the biggest difference of how a turbo and a supercharger work? Well,
I'll get to that after I'm done explaining the other type of supercharger. So the other type of supercharger is known as a centrifugal supercharger or a hybrid supercharger. It's called hybrid because it kind of looks like a turbo. So a centrifugal supercharger, and some people call them ProChargers, but ProCharger is a company that makes centrifugal superchargers. In the same way that people call all tissues Kleenexes, a lot of people just call all centrifugal superchargers ProChargers. But
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so a centrifugal supercharger works very similar to a turbo. But where a turbo is powered by the exhaust gases to spin that turbine to suck in air, a centrifugal supercharger uses that belt and pulley system to spin the turbine to suck in air. And so again, instead of having screws like a Whipple supercharger that suck in air, it has a turbine like a turbo to suck in air, but is powered by a belt instead of exhaust gases. So yes. And so that's the thing. They all use air. They suck in air and push that air into your engine. But how they power themselves and their overall shape and design is what differentiates them all.
Now, if they're both giving you boost, they all have different mechanics to get that boost. They all have different ways of sucking in, whether it be exhaust air or outside air.
Well, no.
How do they differ in the way it affects your car?
Well, first of all,
your
well, hold up.
Okay.
I do have a mild correction. It's always outside air. It's always outside air. The exhaust is the powering system. It's exhaust versus belt, not, the exhaust powers the turbine versus the belt powering the turbine. They all suck in outside air. You need clean, cool air to power your engine. But
hold on a second. Hold on before you go on. On my screen it says can't display the host screen. What are you doing?
I am playing the game.
It says can't display this host screen.
We're gonna have to roll with that.
Okay, I'll see if I can figure that out.
Because
go ahead and do your thing.
Because this will interrupt the video, and they're already.
No, go ahead. I got to fix. Go ahead.
Oh, you fixed it. Good.
Yeah.
Good. There we go. I don't know what happened.
So I know like when we was playing games, the reason I asked this question the way I am is like, especially when I was playing Gran Turismo, which we'll do that later on. You know, you had your turbo cars, which would give you boost at a certain RPM, and it would give you boost continuously, and have a higher top end, versus where your superchargers have an initial boost quickly, but a lower top end.
So yeah,
how does that work?
That's kind of how they are, and I'm not 100% sure of what causes that, because I haven't studied them that in depth. I just know that it's a thing. Yes, your superchargers, specifically more so your Whipples, will give you that almost instant torque. Your they're really good for acceleration. They're really good for acceleration. If you want a car that accelerates really fast and is going to be doing most of its runs in a sprint, like your drag race cars, you want a supercharger. You're going, you know, because you want that power as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. But if you're going to do, say, track racing, or something more long term, you want a turbocharger, because turbochargers, while they don't have the best initial speed because of something called turbo lag, it takes a while for that turbine to spin up. They have phenomenal top end. Like, my car doesn't launch very well. There's a lot of times where people will be like, I got you, because they get off the line faster. And then 3 seconds later, I'm flying past them. Because my car makes, god damn it, 20 pounds of boost in the top end. But like 5 pounds of boost off the launch. And so, yeah, turbochargers have a much better top speed. Because they build power while... I believe it's because they build power over a period of time, while superchargers just give you that power almost instantly. So that's kind of how that works.
Okay.
So knowing...
I've met a lot of people that they're just like, well, I can put a supercharger on it. Why do a turbo? Because a supercharger is better. Everybody seems to think that supercharger is better.
It's not. It's not.
It's not. And I figured that clarification of how they more or less work might help people. That way they're not, taking a drag car to a circuit race and thinking they got the hot.
Well, and yeah, I remember a guy brought, when I was doing autocross, a guy brought his Challenger Hellcat, and he was dead last. Because, number one, those things are fucking bricks. And two, he couldn't build the power he needed to, he would build the power too quickly and lose control,
Yeah.
And he couldn't build the power over, he couldn't control the power as well. But yeah, no, it really depends on the application of your vehicle and what you plan on doing with your vehicle. In a drag race, yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem, is we have a huge drag race culture here in Huntsville, Alabama. We don't have a proper road course or a track, and we have a drag strip here. Also, the street racing scene is like 99% drag racing. So everybody's going to want like a supercharger, but a supercharger will not help you on something like the Nürburgring, or other popular tracks like that.
Mountain races and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I do mountain racing. Turbocharger definitely is better. So anyway, there's and there's other I almost forgot something else. So we know there's twin turbo, right? So twin turbo is 2 turbos, and there's 2 different ways to do twin turbos. You can do 2 similarly sized turbos that work together, or you can do a sequential twin turbo, which is a smaller turbo and a bigger turbo. The smaller turbo handles so the smaller a turbo, the faster it spins up, but the less power it makes. The bigger a turbo, the slower it spins up, and the more power it makes. So with a sequential turbo setup, is you can have the smaller turbo handle the power in the low end, because it spins up faster and gets you boost quicker. and then switch to the bigger turbo, which gives you that bigger power, and it has already been spun up over the long period of time. So that's your staggered sequential twin turbo setup.
So more or less, it's like, you know, you that smaller turbo is going to build up a lot quicker, and you're going to get that boost. And then as soon as that bigger turbo hits, you're basically going to get double the boost at 2 different points based off your speed.
Yeah, it's compensating for the weakness of each type of turbo. There's also twin charge, and I have never seen twin charge is your unicorn. I've never seen somebody do it. It's a thing though. I have heard about it on shout out to Donut Media. But twin charging is a turbocharger and a supercharger setup. And it does a very similar thing. The turbocharger handles power in the top end, and the supercharger handles power in the low end. So you get that instant torque of a supercharger with the amazing top end of a turbocharger. So,
well, I guess we can move to the next subject, which is, so you're getting all this power, right? You get them in, you know, whether it's turbo or super, or, you know, have standard or stickier tires. Now, you're going to need to be able to control that, especially your downforce. Now, what's going to be your differences on spoilers, wings, and then, you know, standard?
Well, it really, there's so many different types of spoilers. It's a spectrum. I mean, no two spoilers look alike, unless you're buying them off Amazon. So first you have to know your car and what you're doing. Know that there are two symptoms of spoilers. They create downforce, which allows your vehicle to hug the ground. But that also creates drag, which can slow your vehicle. So while spoilers are meant for traction, not speed. Spoilers allow your car to grip the road better, but they in turn slow you down because that's additional stuff that is messing with your aerodynamics and creating drag. So the
spoilers do not help with aerodynamics; they help you stay on the ground.
They help you with traction. So the bigger the spoiler you have, the more traction you have, but the more drag you have, and it can slow your car. It's one of the reasons why, for my car, I know a lot of people that get hatch-mounted wings. They're huge, gaudy wings that bolt onto your hatch, and they're huge. I didn't get that because I don't need that much downforce. I got something that was just slightly bigger than stock, and it works great. It allows me to, A, get the additional traction on the back end that I need, but B, also be able to be fast in the top end. Because I do like to fuck with people when I'm on the road, and I want to make sure I can push my 245 horses as much as I need to.
Right.
So
now what's the difference? Because I know this is something I didn't find out till later. I just, you know, they're all spoilers, but turns out there's not. There is a difference between a spoiler and a wing.
Yes. So a spoiler is more like your sort of duckbill situation. I'm gonna pick something fucking goofy.
It's flush with your car.
Yeah, it's more flush with your car.
So do you have one in this game? Yeah, you know, so like with the Supra and the Mustang, or not the Mustang, the Camaro.
Okay.
All of these have wings on them.
Okay, so this Supra, I would say, yeah, this Supra is more a wing. It's weird. I look at it, and I think spoiler. But I guess since it's in an elevated position, no, I'm gonna say this is a spoiler. A wing is on a pedestal setup. So I'm about to pull up here. Okay, that car in front of me, that red car that just took off because I hit the wall, that is a spoiler as well. This Nissan Skyline in front of me, right here, this fucker right here, that's a wing. That's a wing.
So if it's connected to your car through one central piece and semi-flush, or even if it's raised, it's one piece. It's more into the spoiler. Like that's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler. That's a spoiler. That's a spoiler.
But if it has supporting rods to keep it up, as a, like you said, a pedestal, that's a wing.
So a good visual for you, but not necessarily for our subscribers because they don't know us in person. Your car has a wing. My car has a spoiler.
Right. Now, do they act any different, or is it just a cosmetic feature?
Wings tend to give you more downforce and drag than spoilers do. Spoilers,
just because they're bigger and
yeah, they're bigger.
They take up more space.
Yeah, and there's an upper and a lower level to how it works. On a wing, air moves under and over the wing. On a spoiler, the air only has one option most of the time, and that's to move over it.
So why? So like with a wing, because it is bigger in general, you're going to get a lot more downforce. You're going to have more control of what you're doing, but it is going to slow you down.
So if you're wanting control, you want a wing. Let's use drag racing and track racing for an example. Okay, so you'll notice most drag cars, not all, because some people don't realize or just prefer a certain look, but most drag cars, you'll notice they'll have a spoiler. It'll be a long spoiler, but it'll be a spoiler. It's flush with the body. It's mostly flat.
Sticks out back,
straight back. Because they're going in a straight line. So they just need, they need just enough downforce to keep them having traction in that straight line. They don't ever plan on turning their wheel. But you'll notice that most track cars will have a wing. And that's because they're going to be turning and weaving and moving a lot more than a drag car. Ironically, my wing is perfect for a drag race setup, or my spoiler is perfect for a drag race setup. Not really great for lots of turns, but because my car is what it is, I wasn't really worried about that, because the car does turn on its own regardless of the wing really good.
Right.
I just need something a little extra to keep my back end on the ground, and I didn't really need anything crazy as far as like that. So yeah, the idea usually is, but doesn't have to stick with this. Oh, this car's weird, but it's gonna be fun. So yeah, this is a wing. This is.
So what is up with that spare tire? Like,
oh, I'm a rally car.
Well, I got that, but that's a funny. I mean, I guess if you okay, sure. I don't even really have some good comments for that, because it's just like big ass spare tire right in the middle, and I'm guessing that's a speaker.
Nope, that is your fuel cell.
Oh, okay.
That's where the gas goes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Never mind.
No.
Okay, so now that we're on the rallies, and this kind of brings up my next thought. Your reinforcement and that buggy right there next to it kind of helps. Reinforcement of your car, adding to your physical strength, but also weighing you down. How does that? What would you say is a good little?
So it's a lot of balance. A lot of people that put cages in their cars will also strip the interior, because you're right. If I kept all the interior pieces of my car and added a roll cage, I'm making myself heavier. Congratulations, my Honda Civic is now a Challenger. But what people do is they get a rigid kind of tubing for a cage where it's hollow to make it light, but it's also strong to make it be able to handle, when you roll over. Because that's what a cage is for.
It's not an if, it's when.
it's to reinforce your car when you lose control and go flying through the air, so that the body of the car does not collapse in upon you, like we have seen in BeamNG so many times. In fact, BeamNG does a great job. If you have a car in BeamNG and it's got a roll cage on it, alright, we're going this way.
It does not prevent your car from getting damaged,
but it prevents that car from damaging you.
You're right.
But yeah, a lot of people will strip their interiors. They'll get rid of the carpet. They'll get rid of, a lot of the paneling. They'll get like carbon fiber door cards, because carbon fiber is strong but lightweight. They'll get, rid of the speakers, the airbags, the complex steering wheel for a simpler steering wheel. They'll swap out these factory seats, which factory seats are heavy as fuck, for something simple like a carbon fiber racing seat. and all that stuff makes the car lighter and compensates for the roll cage that you're going to put in it.
You know, it's kind of funny because I just now thought of this, and this is probably completely ridiculous, but and so you mentioned the carbon fiber because it's strong, but it's really really light.
Yes.
Right? Now, how come? It could just be I've never seen it. Kevlar, same concept. Is it just because of the price?
Yes. Number one, carbon fiber in and of itself is very, very, very fucking expensive. But Kevlar's worse. Kevlar's really worse.
Because Kevlar has the same concept. It's a lightweight material that is, strong enough to stop a damn bullet. So,
and that's what it comes down to. Realize that you need something that's strong, but also can break apart when need to. Because cars are designed to fall apart because they absorb the impact that our squishy human bodies would normally take. So,
right.
You know, these old ass boomers that are like, when I was young, our cars were made of sturdy metal and they didn't fall apart like your modern day cars. And yet, your cars were also fucking death traps because they didn't have seatbelts and they didn't squish upon impact, and your body absorbed all of that. And you motherfuckers died all the time in car crashes.
Your car stopped, but your body kept going versus crunchy cars like modern day ones where it absorbs the impact and redistributes it versus instead of just stopping.
Exactly. So the carbon fiber is strong, but can break apart when need to. It's also lighter than Kevlar. I believe it is lighter than Kevlar as well. So that's kind of what that comes down to. If you've ever worn a Kevlar vest, that shit is still fucking heavy.
Yeah,
really
it's still
fucking
heavy. I was just thinking, you know, it's a very strong, I mean, it's known as being a very strong material. How come you didn't see it on cars?
Yeah, because that would be retarded. You don't need a bullet. You don't need your car to be bulletproof. You just need your car to be sturdy and light.
Well, you know, that's crazy because it's like, you know, you see police cars and stuff like that. And, you know, yeah, they have some armor in there that you can't see on the car itself. There's, you know, different types of metal. And the police who's inside the car wear Kevlar. But to me, I'm thinking, why don't they put cosmetics on the car that's also Kevlar for that same purpose? Because it'd be lighter and would distribute energy probably better than, you know, heavy ass metal.
Well, I mean, and I watch a lot of, this is a little off topic, I watch a lot of a YouTuber called Donut Operator who reviews cop footage, and he was a former police officer himself. But
he went wee-o.
But there is, holy fuck, there is, you know, no, one of you is passing me, not both of you. But there are moments where, for whatever reason, cops need to shoot out of their cars. They either need to shoot out the window or shoot through the door because they're taking cover, but they're using the fact that their body is concealed to get the shot they need. And so if you made cop cars, one, have bulletproof glass and lined with Kevlar, cop cars would weigh a absolute fuck ton more than they already do, and it would make police chases even more difficult than they are. I've already seen so many videos of cop cars getting outran by Hellcats and shit like that, Corvettes, what have you. And so you make the car heavier, and it's already, they make like 345 horsepower. That's not a lot. So you're going to make them heavier. Because do realize that bulletproof glass is very thick, very, very, very thick. So, but also sometimes cops need to shoot through the door panels or shoot out the windows.
Yeah, just like Kevlar, it's not going to do any good.
Yeah, you would protect them, but you would also make them unable to, eliminate.
It would be a completely defensive vehicle. There would be no way of altering to offense.
Yes, it would just be very impractical.
Hey, that's what we're here for. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about practical, non-practical ideas.
I don't know if we're here for it, but it's what we're doing right now. So.
Well, yeah. Okay, so here's something I have actually seen this before, and to me it makes no sense.
Cool.
And I've done this myself. My car had this. I don't know if you remember, because like I said, I had the SI where it had, and this is going back to the spoiler and wing, where it had a spoiler and a wing.
Oh, so you were talking about the roof spoiler? Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
they put a
yes.
roof spoiler, and then they had the built-in, the natural build of the wing on it.
So
How does that work? Why is it
yeah,
ridiculous?
that was an instance of the previous owner before you choosing, looks over function. So, roof spoilers are traditionally used for hatchbacks. Now, the reason why is because a hatchback does not have a traditional trunk like a sedan or a coupe has. The roof ends because it's a hatch, so the roof turns into the hatch. And so when you have a car like mine, a roof spoiler makes sense. I don't have a trunk to mount my spoiler to.
Right.
But what some people do, because they're fucking stupid, is they put a roof spoiler on their sedan. Number one, if you their sedan or their coupe. Number one, if you have a traditional sedan or coupe, and when I say that I mean something with a trunk, if you're going to put something in that general area, you want to do what's called vortex generators. What they are is they're little tiny little like shark fin looking things, and they clean up the turbulent air before it gets to the wing, so that the wing can more efficiently do its job. But if you want to do a roof spoiler on a sedan, realize that you do not need a spoiler or a wing on your hatch or on your trunk at that point in time. So there's a lot of people, like, I see it with Lancers all the time.
The air is going to be pushed up above it.
Yeah, well, I was getting to that. A lot of people, I've seen it a lot of, like, with Lancers and some Subarus, is that they won't have a giant wing, but they'll have a roof spoiler above the back window. And that works. That's great. It's a good way to have a clean back end with just a subtle little bit of downforce. You know, some people don't like wings and spoilers, and so they don't like that on the back of their car. They don't like the look, so they'll put a good, a roof spoiler like what you had on yours, and they'll get that downforce they need without ruining the back of the car in their mind. But if you do like what the dude who drove your car is, put a fucking roof spoiler on a car that has a fucking pedestal wing, you are now making that wing absolutely useless, because like you said, you're pushing the air over the wing, and now the wing can't do its fucking job.
Then it's just dead weight.
Then it's just dead weight. You have weight for no reason. So we do what we did and took the roof spoiler off and kept the pedestal wing. And in the future, would be really neat is if we got vortex generators for your Civic.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about it when you mentioned them, and I was like, hey, no, put some vortex generators on the top to, like I said, clean up the distribution of the air.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it got to the wing, which is going to do that in like half a second,
the air's cleaner.
Yeah, and it's going to help with stability a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, since we've talked about the top of the car, and we're already talking about aerodynamics as well, let's talk about my favorite parts of the car. These are my personal favorite parts. My second favorite part, the splitter, and my third favorite part, or my number one favorite part, because, man, when I see a good looking one of these on a car, it just makes me brick the fuck up.
Oh, the diffuser.
A diffuser. Oh, God bless the diffuser. Not just in function, but a good looking diffuser can make a car. I love diffusers.
For the ones who may or may not know what a splitter and a diffuser is, or what the difference is.
Okay, so a splitter goes on. Oh, it's this race. Cool. A splitter goes on the front of the car, on the bottom of the front bumper, and it goes under what's called the lip. So a lip and a splitter are two different things, and they're not to be confused with each other. A splitter is a flat piece of either ABS plastic or carbon fiber, or something similar, which runs underneath the car. Oh, share screen stopped because connection was lost. No.
Oh no.
So there will be part 2 to this video.
Shit.
We'll do.
Huh?
It's still recording. Oh,
Is it
share.
still recording?
Yeah, it's share screen, meaning you can't see me. So I'm still recording. So you need to find a way to view my screen. Oh.
You just keep talking. You keep doing your thing. Are you still recording?
We're still good. I'm still recording. We're good.
All right.
So
I'll just try and go back in. Go ahead.
I'll keep going. So okay. Sorry, technical difficulties.
It happens. It happens.
But a splitter also runs underneath the car, and it cleans up the air, essentially running under the car. It prevents air from generating lift and pushing the car into the air. Ooh, God, my voice cracked. A diffuser. I've been talking for over 2 hours. A diffuser goes on the back of the car, and it is a series of vertical fins that cleans up, that works like vortex generators, cleans up the air running out from under the car, keeping the back end in line. And again, looks amazing. So my car has a small diffuser on it, stock. Yours, as you have seen, does not. There's no diffuser whatsoever. Yeah.
I've got a splitter, but no diffuser.
Which is why, if you've noticed, when you get on it, you can get your back end out. I do not. It takes a lot to get my back end out.
Yeah, I know, man. It tends to. It doesn't fishtail real bad, but it does if I'm really putting the power. And I think there's also just a difference in our transmissions as well, a little bit.
It's mostly, it's not the transmission, it's mostly because we're both regardless of transmission, we're both front wheel drive cars. It's a mix of tires and that diffuser as well.
Yeah. I sent you a screen share thingy, no bubber.
Oh, I have to wait until I'm done with the race.
That's fine. That's fine.
But we can still hear you. So
yeah. I don't have to sleep on it.
So yeah, that's aerodynamics.
Now, what about, because this is going to play, it's not going to necessarily affect the aerodynamics a lot, but it can, I guess. Anyway, your suspension.
So suspension helps with both the handling and aerodynamics a little bit. So the lower your car is, the less air gets under your car, and the less lift you generate. Lift is bad. Right. Lift is great for a plane. Jared here can attest to that as a former pilot. Not good.
Now let me correct that just real quick. I was not a pilot, but I did study to be one. But I'm legally not allowed to be one because of my seizures.
You know, nobody would have questioned you, but okay.
I don't want falsely on people thinking I'm a pilot when I'm not. Anyway.
Well, you're not a pilot now because you would fucking crash into the ground and die because you have seizures.
That's what they seem to think. That's what they seem to think. Anyway. So yeah, suspension, bringing you low to the ground.
Lift is not good for a race car driver.
Lift is not good for any car, unless you're doing like rock climbing.
But also, if that suspension is stiff, which usually lowering a car will make it stiff. Let me fix this screen share shit. I'm at 53 minutes, so we also have to start screen share. So we're gonna wrap this up soon as I do one more race. Come on, game freeze for a little bit. Okay. So, a stiff suspension also prevents what's called body roll. And so, body roll, as you turn, say you're turning right, your car is going to lean left. And when your car leans left, it does two things. Number one, pulls your car in the opposite direction that you're trying to go, but also can cause your tires to lift, which means you're losing traction. So when you
potentially does come off the ground completely.
Yes, or roll over. When you have a stiff suspension or a stiff chassis, you lean less. And so when you lean less, you've got your tires on the ground and you're not lifting in the air. I'm going to take this baby for a spin. So I'm going to do all BMWs.
That's fine. Given the topic of this, and saying, okay, hey, even if you're not racing, but hypothetically you're racing, you're not racing, whatever, you want your car to, no matter what, have control. You want it
Yes.
to be, you don't. Then now there is cons, obviously, especially if you're in the south area or in some rural areas. Potholes are not your friend.
No.
Bumpy roads, stuff like that. So there's pros and cons, obviously, but just because this is a hilarious topic and it kind of is in play, you have your suspension to set up to help you not body roll and to kind of help control things. And then you have these guys with what they call the Carolina squat.
Oh, so there, I do know the origin of the Carolina squat.
What the fuck is going on there? Because I feel like that's just an accident waiting to happen.
So, do you know what a trophy truck is?
Yes.
Okay, so a trophy truck is like a racing truck for dirt racing.
Right.
And so, quite often, they do jumps. And so, trophy trucks tend to have a slight fucking squat to them, so that when they land, they can absorb. When you think of how a car lands, it usually
lands nose first. Usually,
it leans forward. So if the suspension on the truck has the nose up a little bit, they can absorb that landing a little bit better when they do a jump. Needless to say, Jimbo in his Chevy Suburban is not going to be doing any jumps anytime soon, especially when his nose is pointed to the fucking heavens.
That's what I'm getting at. Like slightly makes sense, especially if it's that type of truck that is, designed for that. But when you get, like you said, your Suburbans out here, your fucking Tahoes, and your nose is straight up on the ground and your back end's all the way to the ground.
Well, it's
you look like a dog with worms.
Yes, it's all these things. So you've got the stance boys, who's got the extremely tilty wheels. That's something that's done in a proper race car, because when you are going on a banked turn, your wheels being tilted slightly, you get that grip. Right. When you go into a sharp turn. So a little bit of camber, but that's the problem is that you get people and they see something on a proper race car, be it a trophy truck or a track car or a hill climb car, and they take it to the extreme in their street car. So whether they put a giant wing on the car that they go to the grocery store with, or they tilt their wheels so much that their car is sliding on the ground because they like the way of a tilted wheel in a low car, or whether they squat it. They see something that a proper race car does, and they copy it, and they push it to an extreme, and now it's stupid.
Yeah, because you've seen cars where their wheels look like something from Back to the Future 2, where is it ready to just take off from the ground now? Does this car fly? And then you have these trucks I said,
that's the opposite. That is extremely positive camber, not negative camber. I'm just saying. When their wheels are...
Yeah, that's a different subject, but...
Yeah.
But still, what I'm getting at is, like, the wheels are practically laying down.
Yes. They're pointed up, not down, but yes.
Yes, they're pointed up where they're almost flat, and it's like there's no reason to have that much camber.
I feel like the first person to do a Carolina squat, or the first person to do a stance car, did it because they're like, well, fuck it, I can, why not? But then...
You got too many extremists out here.
Too many people decided to copy that, and it got out of hand. I just crashed. But...
Really?
Yes. But, I hate to do this. We are about to hit 59 seconds, so...
yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
But yeah, so, if you want to see more of this kind of stuff, talking, just, and like I said, it's real natural. We're not here to be scripted or anything, just real fun stuff. If you want to see more of it, click the notification bell, subscribe to us. We got a lot more stuff coming every week. And leave a comment on, take a picture of your car. If you got something you want to show off, take a picture and send us a picture of your vehicle, even if it is overly cambered or the Carolina squat. We might make fun of it, but you know what, it's all in good fun. Send us a picture of your car and leave a comment and tell us how you like the video. See, what do you want to see next?
We've got a lot of things planned, but if you guys have any ideas, please let us know.
Absolutely. But yeah, and again, I'm Jared.
And I'm Vin.
And this is the Goober Brothers. We'll see you in the next one.
Pickles!
Pickles!